Welcome back to this third and last video of Section 5. In the previous video, we ran a few tests on the Selenium server. In this video, let's try the last case, to run some tests on the cloud. Let's take the example we worked on in the previous video and change it again. Let's try to run the same thing with an external service that allows you to connect to a hub on the cloud. There are various providers that will allow you to run your test on the cloud. We'll be using Source Labs for our test. These providers have been prepared with a Selenium hub and allow you to connect to them and run your tests there. This is great if you want to outsource running a Selenium hub. Your core business is not to maintain and make a Selenium hub available, so running the tests somewhere else makes good sense. So how do we get access to Source Labs? We go to www.sourcelabs.com and sign up for a test account. Let us change our test to use Source Labs instead. You'll have to prepare your own account. I already have an account, so all I need to do is to change the following URL. I'm using my personal access key. I will set the host to be ondemand.sourcelabs.com and the resource to be wd/hub. The portion after http:// is my Source Labs username. Ripan al-Wazim. Let's run it and see what happens. We are in the project folder and let's run the example. The test is running in the background in Source Labs. It takes like forever and nothing seems to be happening. But something is indeed happening in the background. It is happening somewhere remote which we can't see on our local computer. There you go, build success. The test passed. But we didn't really see anything, did we? When you use Source Labs, you can see the execution later on their website. Let us look at the last test at Source Labs. Browse to Source Labs, log in, and look at the latest tests. Let us take a look at the screencast from my latest test. The test status shows that it's complete. Let's run it. We didn't specify anything, apart from the point that we wanted a Firefox. We've got a Firefox, and we've got it on Linux distribution. Let's look at the logs. On Source Labs reveals that they are running a Selenium server, pretty much the same thing we executed locally. We seem to use the same toolset, but they have the advantage as they provide me with a screencast where I can see the execution. We can also see the metadata here and download it. We have executed the same thing using an internally as well as externally provided browser. What should you choose? I would say that it depends on your requirements at the moment. Factors that you need to consider while selecting the approach of your choice are personal data. You are not allowed to store data about people the way you would like in some parts of the world. Cost. How much does it cost to run the service in-house? Is it worth the money, or is it a better idea to allow someone else to do the hosting? Flexibility. Are you able to provide all the combinations of browsers and operating systems that you should be able to support in-house? There are probably a lot more things to consider, but these are the major pointers you need to think on. How should you behave if your test system is hosted behind a firewall? Source Labs provides a utility that will open up your firewall from the inside and allow you to execute tests on your internal test server. Showing this is out of scope for this video course, but I think it's important to mention when you start to think about external or internal hosting. At the end of this video, we are now going to register a node and run a test on remote browsers. To sum up this section, it is possible, as we saw, not even very difficult to run a browser remotely. Running a browser remotely can significantly increase the number of browsers and operating systems you can test on. It can also speed up the time for test if you are able to run them in parallel. It is possible to host a Selenium server, internally or an externally hosted hub. In this video, we have covered running tests on a cloud. Throughout this section, we took a look at Selenium server, installing it, working on it, and ran a few tests on our browser locally as well as remotely. In the end, we also ran our tests on an external service. In the next section, we will complete an example using Selenium testing tools. Stay tuned for even more usages of Selenium.